5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, guys. Welcome back. It's sloppy seconds time. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, and all the rest of them as well, wherever you are in the world. The earlier show went on a bit longer than I planned, which means I've still got the same outfit on. I would have gone off and changed, but basically didn't have time. It was that or a shit, so I thought I'd go for a shit instead. Hello, Mrs. Clibo. Anyway, welcome along to a new show. We are playing tonight Mind the Gap. Basically, this could get feisty because we're going to have Clibo and his nephew Reese. Now, apparently they do have a lot of arguments. I wouldn't have expected that, but there you go. Now, they do have a lot of discussion. Shall we call it, which would be polite, and we'll call it discussion about footballing things. So every week we're going to have two discussions. There'll be half an hour each, and they will each get 5 minutes to put their opinion over as to why they think A, and then the other one why they think B. You can join in the chat, get questions in the chat to put to them. We won't interrupt them during their 5 minute spiel, but at 5 minutes they will be timed out and they'll be stopped even if they are still mid-flow. Could get really, really interesting. Two topics tonight. Who started the good times at Leicester? Martin O'Neill or Claudio Ranieri? You can guess probably who's gone for who on this. And then the second one, in half an hour's time, will be who's the better player? Madonna? That's what I'll call him, I'm sorry. Or Messi. Interesting. No Ronaldo there. Anyway, it's all about Leicester to start with. Let's get ready. Are you ready to talk Leicester? Good evening, gentlemen. How the devil are you?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah. As ready as I'll ever be.
Now, I want a good, clean fight. I don't want any punches below the belt. There will be 2 5-minute rounds. And when I say break, you break. No biting the other's ears off, or anything like that at all. We're going to start, and we always say, don't we? It's best to say, age before beauty. So we'll start with Clibo. We've got here who started the good times at Leicester City. Very interesting, and I've got a bit of thoughts on this, but I will save those until the end. Don't forget, guys, any questions, any thoughts, please join in with the chat as well, and we'll ask those along. Clibo, you've gone for Martin O'Neill.
Yeah.
Reese, you've gone for the special Italian, Mr. Ranieri. Two guys who we can't deny had great success in their tenure at Leicester City. Clibbo, let's start with you. I'm going to press the countdown. Tell me when you're ready to go, and you've got 5 minutes to convince us all that it should be Martin O'Neill.
Go for it. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that I think Claudio Ranieri is one of my favourite all-time people, let alone Leicester managers. And what he did for us was absolutely unbelievable. My mind is always open to be changed. So on this topic, you may be able to change my mind, Reese. So I motioned that Martin O'Neill started the success that led to the future heights reached by Leicester City. And here's why. I'm not going to need 5 minutes because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So longevity. O'Neill managed us for nearly 5 seasons, during which time he earned us promotion, 4 consecutive top half Premier League finishes. That's no mean feat given the size of the clubs around us at the time. So that's sustained success. O'Neill led us to 3 League Cup finals, winning 2 in 1997 and of course 2000. Our first major trophies for many, many years, which gave us the dream of playing in Europe, if we all remember that one. That's one fairy tale title versus repeated silverware. Leicester City are now at the stage where they're a modern club because of Martin O'Neill. Martin built City's foundations, signing players like Muzzy, legend, Lenny, legend, which he built a solid identity around, character, something that this team last year was lacking in abundance. A team spirit that is unlikely to be repeated, in my opinion. Ranieri inherited a squad. O'Neill built a squad. And before I do my conclusion, I'd like to say that Martin succeeded with little money. In fact, very, very small amounts of money. He took a newly promoted average side and made them consistently competitive and a team who never, ever accepted defeat. Ranieri's title, stunning as it was short-lived. O'Neill's impact was long-lasting. In conclusion, constant and consistent top half Premier League position, multiple trophies, foundational squad building, sustained impact in a challenging era. Claudio did give us the greatest moment. I'm not going to deny that. Martin gave us our modern identity, which we carry forward now. We were more stable and we were more sustainable. That, Your Honour, is my case.
I'm up. Yeah, well done. Well done, Clibbo. That's a very, very good argument. And I'm going to be interested to hear the other argument on the other way. We'll come back to some of these points and questions, obviously, at the end. Craig is agreeing with you there, Clibbo. Ian said he's unsure where I stand on this. Excited to be convinced. Well, we've heard about O'Neill. Reese, are you ready to go?
I'll do my best. Ready when you are.
Stick a thumbs up and your countdown will start. And go.
So, first of all, I would like to give a big props there to my Uncle Clibbo for an outstanding case for Mr. Martin O'Neill. That was outstanding. But I am going to disagree on this one. So, obviously, the title says, who started the good times? And I believe that is Claudio Ranieri. Now, I've gone for a bit of a different route to what Uncle Clibbo has gone for here. Claudio Ranieri came into this football club and was immediately shafted by a lot of fans saying, why have we appointed this guy? But he was the mainstay for our most successful period in the club's history. Since his arrival, and obviously into this present day, we have gone on to win 1 Premier League, 1 FA Cup, 1 Community Shield, a European semi-final, 2 top 5 finishes, and a Champions League quarter-final. Now, don't get me wrong, Martin O'Neill did win some cups, but I think what Ranieri started, we won the bigger trophies, the Premier League, the FA Cup. He won us out, we went on to win our first ever FA Cup, obviously under Brendan Rodgers. But I also would like to counter one of Uncle Clibo's points here. Now, Martin O'Neill may have won us 2 League Cups, but after that, we were a Championship club for 10 years, up until 2014. Post Ranieri, we have suffered 2 relegations. 1 we bounced straight back from. Ranieri also started the global fan base of Leicester City in terms of, our increased revenue. Everyone around the world knows who Leicester City are. He increased that, that fan support all over the world. But that is all I have to say on it. Like I said, Uncle Clibo's point is very, very good. But I still do believe that Claudio Ranieri started the more successful, the good times at Leicester City, winning more bigger trophies up until this point.
Very well put across. Okay, get any questions into the chat, please do, guys. These 2 are ready for your questions. I want to start it off. Ask you both the same question: is how do you define good times?
Well, I'll go first with that. Good times is when there's a change in season ticket holders. There's that people talking about the club again, enthusiasm for going down, that spirit that was down at the King Power Stadium that's been lacking for many, many, many years. Even in the Premier League, that place it's never really been bouncing consistently. I think even Reece would agree with that. I think under Martin O'Neill at Filbert Street, particularly at Filbert Street, which was a better ground, if you ask me, more old school and close to the pitch, he just had something that he gave that team that we all collectively started to go, even if you weren't a Leicester fan, you were like, this is just great. We're this small club. And he started that. He started that infection that spread throughout, and more people started to wear Leicester shirts as opposed to Tottenham or Man United shirts, let's say. So I believe the good times, in terms of what he created, was this buzz around the city. And that's where I've highlighted the word started, which you said. I believe that Martin O'Neill started that buzz. And that obviously has a domino effect. And during his tenure, we were always going to stay in that league. But I think that built a credibility to the side, even though you had journalists going, "Oh, it's just Leicester, they're just scrappy, long ball." Listen, we fought. No, we've never had a side. All right, we've had a more successful in terms of winning the Premier League. We've never had a side that had that spirit. And that spirit is what all the fans gravitated to.
Okay, Reece, how would you describe good times?
Again, a lot of what Uncle Clibo's just said there, the increase in revenue, the increase of season ticket holders and stuff like that. But you have to look at also the more global fan base as well. We were, we were a lot more known worldwide when we won the Premier League, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. Don't get me wrong, we had good times under Martin, but I think in terms of a global fan base, we were more well known for winning the Premier League. People still didn't know who we were, even though we won 2 League Cups and played in European football under Martin O'Neill. Everyone knew who we were when we won the Premier League. And that led to more success, more increased revenue, more shirt sales all over the world. Wherever you go now, oh, Leicester City, Ranieri. And you never get that with Martin O'Neill all over the world. It's always, oh, Leicester, Claudio Ranieri, especially in places like Italy and European clubs, countries. But also, I'd like to allude on the point what Uncle Clibbo said there in terms of spirit. Yes, Martin may have started those good times in terms of like the spirit and stuff like that. But I also think Claudio done it in a more harder time with all the money, all the multi-millions that was being spent in this day and age. Whereas it was a lot more of a playing field back then. We won the Premier League with a £30 million squad, beating the likes of Manchester City, who spent well over 200 million that season, Chelsea, Manchester United. We couldn't compete with them in terms of money, and we won the Premier League. And that increased our revenue, and that allowed us to go and sign class players like Yuri Tielemans, James Maddison, including the likes of Jamie Vardy becoming the greatest player of all time at Leicester City, Kasper Schmeichel, all these class players that we managed to sign for big money as well. You've seen an increase in transfer fees with the likes of, sorry to say it, Slimani, 30 million. You've never seen Leicester spend 30 million on a player before, but that was post Claudio Ranieri. And I think he allowed us to compete for those 2 top 5 finishes by increasing the revenue and the more global fan base coming into the club.
You see, to me, guys, when you say starting the good times, which I think was your words for this section, I would expect those good times to be something that is ongoing. And under neither manager did we sustain the good times, or after they left. In fact, in fairness to O'Neill, he'd left before we dropped. Claudio Ranieri dropped. We dropped after he'd gone. He was sacked. Let's be honest with you, within a year of getting that. So I don't know sort of whether we can say that it's actually good times, as in, because I think a good times is over a long length of period, and neither of them were. I mean, Clibbo, Martin O'Neill, I'll give him joy for one thing, that he stayed with us when, other clubs came a knocking. Leeds, Everton, and he only eventually went because it was Celtic, which was his boyhood club. And do you think that was something he installed into his players?
I do, yeah, because Matt Elliott was touted, and I'm not sure that it was after Martin had left or not, but he was like Liverpool and Celtic were after him, and he stayed with us because, and I hate to keep going back to it, if you look prior to Martin O'Neill, where were the good times? Where were they?
I'll tell you where they were. For me, Jimmy Bloomfield. 6 years.
Before I was born.
Yeah, maybe it was, but this is what I'm saying. There have been other periods, but I get, like you say, was it before you were born? You bloody making me feel old, I'll tell you. Let me come to you then, Reese. Was it Claudio, and this is something that's obviously we will never know the answer to, was Claudio Ranieri that good, or was he purely riding on Nigel Pearson's coattails?
I hate this argument personally. I do. I mean, obviously, we'll never know if Nigel Pearson would have won the league with his squad. We'll never know. But this guy did.
He would
with his. What'd you say?
I don't think for a minute Nigel Pearson would have. I agree. I think Ranieri just had something about him that year that was able to just sprinkle some parmesan, and it worked. And it was a one-off, but it worked.
Yeah, in terms of a season, it was a one-off, and we'll always admit it was a one-off. But I tend to look more at the long-term things that we've gone on to succeed and what it's achieved the club in terms of, the whole structure of the club, the revenue, the global fan base and stuff like that. But no, I completely disagree with what you've just said there, Chris. I don't think Nigel Pearson would have won the league with this squad. I don't think he had the tactical nous of a Claudio Ranieri. You look at his past record, his past managerial jobs, Chelsea, Roma, Valencia. These are top clubs in their respective leagues and countries. So I think I think that point is invalid in my opinion. Of course, I mean,
I don't think he said that.
Maybe he didn't word that rightly then, because I don't think Nigel Pearson would have won the league. But it's funny that when Claudio Ranieri started to dismantle that team and bring his own players in, it all went tits up. As indeed it did, fairness, after Martin O'Neill with Peter Taylor. But Martin O'Neill had left then. Peter Taylor had come in and again did very well. Got us to the top of the Premier League for 2 weeks, albeit on an international break. But he did that with Martin O'Neill's team. Claudio Ranieri did it with Nigel Pearson's team, Reece. And when he started to bring his own players in, how many of Claudio Ranieri's players have stood the course of time?
Well, yeah, that is a very, very good point. But again, I don't, at the end of the day, it depends how the players wanted to play that year, and it was the perfect set of tactics that won us that Premier League. And also, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of rumours going around that Nigel Pearson, touted N'Golo Kante, but he never signed N'Golo Kante. Claudio Ranieri did, and he was one of the main players to win us the Premier League. I'm trying to think of what other players that he brought in as well.
N'Golo Kante was, as far as I understand it, touted by Nigel Pearson, would have signed had Nigel Pearson still been there, but got hesitant when we sacked the manager that had gone after him. And that's why I believe there was that get-out clause for him in his contract, because, he's looking at a club, well, hang on, this manager said he wanted me. That manager is now gone. Do you know what I'm saying? So I get your point, but I think he would have signed even if Pearson had stayed.
Maybe, but we'll never know. It's if buts and maybes. Yeah, it's if buts and maybes. We'll never know. At the end of the day, the history books have been written. We won the Premier League under this manager with his amazing tactics, his amazing personality, his brilliance handling the press as well, in terms of, keeping the pressure off his players. That, to me, is a sign of a top-class manager that has the ability to do that and continuously to win games. And we won that league, may I add, by 10 points by the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, Craig said there who had the better squad. And I think it was different times. And I think it's hard to compare. The squad that O'Neill had was the squad that did a good job in those days. Some would have been maybe unfairly describing it as a Wimbledon Mark II, but it did what it did. Ranieri, let's be honest with you, had a lot more money at his disposal. Martin O'Neill's biggest signing, I think, was $5 million. Guy from Notts County, I can't remember who it was now, but went on to Villa. But Claudio Ranieri obviously had a lot more millions. So, style of football, again, that's very much a case of, what you preferred. I mean, Martin O'Neill's was exciting, as was indeed Claudio Ranieri's. So, squad, and the style, like I say, he's also said which managers I've just said created the better style of football. I mean, how would you describe Martin O'Neill's style, Clibbo?
Well, it was. Well, he played wing backs. It was a bit kick and rush. It was rough and ready, but he had skill just in the right areas. Grit, determination, and actually a team that understood the size of the club, where they were playing their trade, and how much less ability they had than those around them. And I think Martin created this vibe that he passed on to the players and the fans. And we all got on board with it, which is, again, going back to our topic, that's where it started for me. That's where we got people. That's where, because Listen, I remember going Filbert Street years ago, and you'd have very sketchy fans. Don't get me wrong, I can't always go. Bloody work gets in the way and things like that. But we had really sketchy fans where they'd turn up, they wouldn't come. They'd go for cup games, they wouldn't come. And I think this O'Neill era really united people, and people still talk about it now. There's a podcast with two very, very famous defenders from that era, and they constantly get players on from that era, and they talk about it like they're still teammates. And I don't think that you can't underestimate the amount that team over that 4 or 5 year period that he had, what it did for the city. It was just phenomenal.
I mean, O'Neill did a brilliant job on a shoestring. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? He had a lot less money to play about with and got success on a shoestring. I mean, look, when you look at, and I'm going to come to Claudio signings in a minute, Reese. When you look at the signings that O'Neill made, like I said, the Izits, the Elliots, I'm sure you can name more. My mind's gone absolutely blank. Savage, not the most gifted of players, but did his job in the middle of the field. Was Keller? Was he a Martin O'Neill signing? Casey Keller?
I think he was. Yeah, you had Gilchrist. People like Gilchrist and.
The thing he's got is right. What link did Martin O'Neill have? Did Matt Elliott have to Leicester? None. He came from Oxford, Scottish grandparents, whatever it was, and yet he's still here. He's still in Leicester, working in Leicester. He's made it his home. He's still going to the club. There's players there that, all right, not all of them, I grant you, but when you look at, there's Matty Elliott, there's Tags, yeah, and they're all still working for the club on match days. I want to look at Ranieri's signings though. He made 13 signings, Reese, as Leicester manager. Some good, some not so good. N'Golo Kante, the first one. Let's be honest with you, probably one of the best players that we have ever had wear the Leicester shirt. We know how good he was. Apparently, just reading here, Steve Walsh got a fat rise after signing him. But I tend to think there's more misses than there are hits. We'll go to the other end. Wilfred Ndidi, still with us. Yeah, I can't, and he has, whatever you say about him now, he's been a good player for us. So I'll give you those two. But let's have a look at these others that he signed. Johan Benaloon. Do you remember him?
Yeah, Johan Benaloan.
Benaloan, sorry, it's my pronunciation. I always say anything apart from Smith and Jones, I struggle on. Played 4 leagues games in the title-winning season. Was supposed to be coming into with a new central midfielder who's Swiss captain, disappeared without a trip. Nathan Dyer, right, he was a lone player, so we can't probably count him. Daniel Amate. Wow. Nothing the least said about him, for me, the better. I think he was a utility player that probably didn't know his best position. Louis Hernandez, was he? He was on loan as well, wasn't he? He came
centre back, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he came. Hey, talking. I mean, Casey Keller was signed under under O'Neill. Ron Robert Zieler.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but listen, he's folklore, isn't he? He's folklore,
and he's still playing. He played for the Cologne against us in the friendly.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you Mendy as well. but didn't sort of, these players that were brought in and didn't really get, the chance. Musa, again, how many of these players weren't utilised to the best of their ability? Musa was never played in a position. Kaputska, Slimani, good players. Well, Slimani was, but never used to his full potential. Molo Wagyu, if that's how you pronounce it.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
another centre back. Once he was given, a bit like Peter Taylor when he took over from Martin O'Neill, once he was given the purse strings, and funnily enough, with Martin O'Neill, I actually did a piece on him, as I've told you many times, for the Metro. I was writing for the Metro at the time. And I actually said, what a good signing Claudio Ranieri is. I said, if he's never won a title, but he's won cups and he's got, teams into top four. And if that's what he does at Leicester, we will be more than happy. And I actually had a conversation with an Italian sports psychologist, very nice young lady, I've got to say. And she always said, if you look at Ranieri, how long does he stay at all the clubs he's gone to? Very little time. It's 2 or 3 years maximum. He goes in, rides on the coattails of the team that he's inherited, makes 2 or 3, tweaks to make them, like he did with the Leicester team. Like I say, I don't think Pearson would have won the title, but he came in and added that little bit of, flair and what have you. And then he never, once he gets his own money to spend, he starts buying some awful players.
Yeah, it's I can see the argument, of course, but even the best managers in the world have made bad signings. Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, everyone's made a bad signing.
They have
would argue
over 1.5 seasons.
Well, yeah, I understand, but you are talking two complete different eras in terms of money revenue in the Premier League. There wasn't a lot of more money back in Martin's era, so you had a lot more low risk. You had a lot more low risk deals going in, and you can afford to take the risk on. But I understand the argument. But like I said, every manager has made bad signings in terms of but all of that. But go on.
That's just, sorry, I just need to say this because otherwise I forget. That's strictly not true what you've just said about the Premier League. Overall, there's more money now. Overall, but Leicester were competing against the big teams who had all of the money. It is better for the lower teams now because look at what we got for finishing, third bottom. This is a hell of a lot, probably more money than people who won the freaking title back then. But we were competing in a pond where the big teams had pretty much all of the say. Where in Ranieri's era, there was enough money to go around to be able to sort of jostle, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but again, we won. Like I said, we won the league with like a £30 million squad, and and all the players that you mentioned when we won the Premier League, when we signed Gökhan Inler, Nathan Dyer, and everyone's, they were bad signings and all of that. But at the end of the day, how could you really put them in that team that won the Premier League? It was impossible to change it. So they will always be like backup players into that team. I mean, post winning the league, yeah. I mean, yeah, we did make some poor signings, but it's like I said, I stand by it. Every manager in the world makes poor signings. It doesn't define their career.
Even Alex Ferguson has made bad signings, but I would say probably not. Out of those 13, 5 were very good, 6 possibly good. The rest were just mistakes, I think. But why buy a player? Why go out and buy Ahmed Musa, who in his first game against Barcelona scored, was it two amazing goals, and then just play him on the wing? Now,
yeah.
Why did people come to Leicester under Claudio Ranieri? Was it because of Claudio Ranieri, or was it because we were Premier League champions? Because I'll tell you
Well,
what,
probably.
most of those players wouldn't have come to us, I don't think, if we hadn't won the Premier League.
Well, at the end of the day, we won the league because of Claudio Ranieri. You also have to factor that in as well. You know, he was one of the main reasons why we won the league. And I would argue he'd done a better job in terms of, just hear me out, he'd done a better job with a squad that wasn't his. And he'd managed to change that Nigel Pearson team, and that was completely his side of players, and just put his tactical nous on it. Would you argue that that's an amazing job, winning the league with a squad that is not your team? They're not your players.
No, fair point. Fair point.
He built a squad with his own players.
Would you then say that Peter Taylor's a good manager because he took us to the top of the Premier League with Martin O'Neill's players?
Well, we'll never know, will we?
No, he did. He took us. Peter Taylor took us to the top of the Premier League.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear who you said. Sorry, I didn't hear who you said.
Sorry, okay. You know, so in that argument, you could say Peter Taylor's not a bad manager. But coming to you, Clibbo, Martin O'Neill had to convince players to come and play for Leicester. You know, we weren't the big club that we were at the point under Claudio Ranieri. You know, he used to joke, didn't he, that at Filbert Street he'd walk players backwards onto the pitch so that they didn't see the stand opposite and they could see the big Carling stand. Frank Sinclair's reveals the unbelievable way Martin O'Neill persuaded him to sign for Leicester City. Let's have a look here. He said he convinced him that he was one of the best defenders in the country. He had that sort of Brian Clough way about, didn't he?
Brian Clough. Yeah, and that's the thing, you see. Back in sort of that era of management, you were a lot more involved in decisions off the field. And you were reliant on your charisma, your cheekiness. Some of the ways that Brian Clough signed people is outrageous. I mean, just completely hilarious. And although Martin wasn't to that extreme, you can see that he's took some of those ideas. Old school. Now, old school, I guess that sounds old-fashioned and a bit kind of like, well, that's the way they used to do it kind of thing, but it's not like that now. Well, actually, I think some managers could learn still from that old school. So he had a lot to do. He had a lot more to do. He didn't have all this masses of PR teams around him to do it. And he created a team that wanted to win every second of every minute of every hour that they ever played football for Martin. And everybody in the city got behind that, which is, again, what I'm saying, and getting back on topic, not who's the best manager, not who had the most trophies necessarily, but who created the buzz, who started it. And for me, hands down, it's Martin O'Neill.
Quick last question before I decide which way I'm going with this one, Reese. Martin O'Neill went and got players and turned them into good players. Claudio Ranieri bought ready-made players. Would you agree, or would you argue with me on that point?
I can see your argument for that one, 100%. But it's like I said. I mean, he took over a team that wasn't his. He inherited that squad. And
every manager does, don't they? Every manager that comes in, Martin Cifuentes has inherited the team that Ruud van Nistelrooy left him with.
Well, yeah,
who inherited it from Steve Cooper. And it would never change, did it?
Well, no, it didn't change, but you know, I've always said that. I mean, going off topic here, Ruud van Nistelrooy wasn't backed, and he wasn't given his own signings, you know, to put his own stamp on the squad. But yeah, I see your point, but I will still back Claudio, who started the good times. from post 2016, we've done it for a longer period of time than we did under Martin O'Neill. We did it for 7 years up until 2022, consistently challenging for top 4, top 8 in the Premier League, winning the FA Cup for the first time, which is something that we didn't achieve under Martin. And post Martin, we were a Championship club for 10 years. So that's my final argument.
Post Ranieri, we're going to probably be that again.
Well, we'll never know. We'll never know, will we?
The thing for me with this is, I mean, Beachai started the good times. That's a very good point, Ian. Won the league. He offered free pizza. I think Ranieri possibly sacked a little bit. I think he had to go, but in hindsight, maybe it was a bit of a rash decision. We were, let's be honest with you, one game off getting into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The thing is, with the title that you gave me here, which was who started the good times at Leicester City. Now, I'm older than you two, probably put together, and it would be very easy for me to go and say Martin O'Neill, because back in the day he was a god to us. I could go further back and say Jimmy Bloomfield, 6 seasons in the top flight, got us promoted, and 6 seasons in the top flight. The team that he put together was like, Worthington, Weller, Birchinall, Peter Shilton. Whitworth, in my day, so they were good times for me. And I thought David Cleat. His good times always a happy ending. But I thought I'd actually come into this knowing which way I was going to go. But it's that good times. And I've lived through both of these managers. And Martin O'Neill gave us some amazing times as manager. 3 trips to Wembley in 4 years, 2 wins, European football that we hadn't had for ages. Actually winning at Wembley, which we'd never done before. For a trophy. We'd never won the FA Cup before, and when we won the League Cup before, it was a 2-legged affair. Funny enough, against Chelsea, I believe. And then Claudio comes along, derided by everybody, except I keep saying this, it's the last thing I actually got right, but I didn't do it. I said I think he was a good signing. And it's that good times I keep coming back to. That year when we won the Premier League, from the kick-off, and I was funny enough, I'd got rid of my season ticket the season before. A good move, eh? A good move. But I was at the first game against Sunderland, and I managed, thanks to the Birches lad, got a ticket for the Everton game at the end. But that first game, the feeling was unreal. We won 4-2, I think, against Sunderland. And it was like, wow, we saw Shinji Okazaki, who was like a ruddy terrier. I turned to my son and said, this guy is like a dog with a bone. He's not letting it go. I, as a podcaster and doing all this sort of stuff, was so glad when the season was over, because I was fucking knackered. Because I was getting calls and messages to, I remember once, who's the guy with the drum?
Lee Jobber.
Jobber, yeah. I remember ringing Lee Jobber saying, mate, I've been asked to do this Japanese interview. Can you do it for me? And he said, well, I can do the Japanese one if you can do a New Zealand one for me 2 days later. I mean, it was just chaos. I remember going into my boss, who was in an absolutely foul mood, and saying, can I leave early today? Channel 5 want me to go onto their news channel to talk about that. It was a weird... And I think for that thing, because that year, in that 1 year, all our dreams came true. And I was so glad that I was alive to see my team win the top division. And I don't think anybody out of the top 6 will do it again. I'd love them to, maybe Newcastle. But if we're going on good times, I'm so sorry, Clibbo. I know where you're coming from, and I'm having to go down on the side of Reece. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because at the start I was thinking this is Martin O'Neill's a shoe-in here. I'm older, but when I'm sat here now, remembering that year and thinking, like, I've just got a smile on my face thinking about it.
I would argue that they weren't the start of your good times at Leicester.
I would
argue
say
that O'Neill started that good times for you.
But we could go back to actually starting. We could go back to Jimmy Bloomfield.
We could. Nowhere near the success.
Generations. It's
You
different.
go back to Matt Gillis.
Yeah.
Well,
No. It's different. That's different. They're not. We're talking about era defining. We're not talking about we had a few seasons in the top flight with a good team. We're talking about era defining here, and the good times. The best time I had was watching them lift that Premier League trophy. I've never ever experienced anything in football better than that in my life. But the start of the good times was only
technical. Neither of those managers started the good times, because we all went off the rails straight after. Almost. So Martin O'Neill's good times, yes, they lasted 3 seasons. Claudio's led on to us getting Brendan Rodgers, who, let's be honest with you, everybody moans about, well, he got us relegated and he should have gone sooner. He also got us 2 top 5s. He got us to the semi-finals of the Conference League to be gone out to the eventual winners. He won us an FA Cup, all right, had Ben Chilwell maybe cut his toenails that morning, he had to gone to extra time. But we won it, and it was what it led on to. Unfortunately, Martin O'Neill, when he left, it went back to being, here we go, back down into the Championship. With Claudio, it did last a little bit longer after he left. And I'm sorry, Clivo, but on this occasion, I am having to go for Claudio Ranieri. He doesn't look happy, Reece.
Listen, it's subjective.
It is.
Isn't it? It's subjective.
It's opinions.
It's like, like you say, who's the better player? N'Golo Kante or Keith Weller? You could put a very good argument up for Keith Weller, because, tell you what, N'Golo Kante probably couldn't do half of what Keith Weller did on those pitches back in the day. They're playing on snooker tables now. It is all subjective, but you've asked me to choose. And
what's chat saying? Come on, chat.
The chat, there was only one person has voted, and that was for Reece.
Well,
even that's chopped you down.
Michael's saying yes, Clivo, so there's one each.
Well, then I'm the deciding vote, aren't I? I think.
You won.
If we go back,
Ian, that's just how I look all the time, mate. I'm just a miserable face.
Ian says, I think I've sided with Reece. Some really good facts. The only reason we won the league, as I mentioned, free pizza, like we say. Clivo looks fuming, like we say. It started with O'Neill with the League Cup, Ranieri with the league, and finished with Rodgers FA Cup. Look,
fair comment. That's a fair comment.
It is a
But
fair
I could
comment.
argue it started with Matt Gillis winning the League Cup in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and he did it over 2 legs. If you go back to the 1960s, we were actually from 57 to 71. We were in the top flight every single season. The fans wanted, and this is the truth, but the fans wanted Jimmy Bloomfield out because they said, "Oh, we've got all these players and we've never won anything, not doing his job." They sacked him, brought in Van McClintock, and we got relegated very, very easily. But look, I'm sorry, so Reece wins that one, but you've still got a chance. And I went on for a bit longer, but I enjoyed that. Yeah. So, are we ready to do the other one?
Oh, yeah.
Let's have it.
Part 2, everybody. So let me just split this up so I know where we are with the comment. Now, you might think that this is, with it including Messi, that it will be Messi versus Ronaldo, but it isn't. It isn't. Now, I'm going to have to take some convincing on this one, I have to say. Maradona, I am not saying anything, but the hand of God cheating, cocaine snorting fat bastard, up against the sublime World Cup winning, well, so did Maradona in fairness, player. Who is the better player? This is going to be interesting because, again, the generations aren't that much of a gap between them, is there, Clibbo?
Well, I think in terms of what's happened between him retiring and Messi doing what he's doing, I think probably it's not so much in years, it's just how things have developed. It seems like a lifetime away. I'm not winning today, am I, at all? I'm not going to win this because
no, I'm joking. I'm only just saying.
He's already laid his cards up. Come on, chat. Give this old a chance.
Who is the better player? So, look, Clibbo, you've got 5 minutes. Let me just restart the clock. Are you ready to go?
Right, my opening statement is, whilst Messi's career is a testament to his obvious brilliance and trophy haul in the modern era, a true measure of greatness extends beyond stats and trophies. Maradona's legacy is numerically less decorated in some aspects, but rests on a foundation of pure impact, individual genius, and the ability to lift teams and nations in a way that, in my opinion, is definitely unparalleled. Maradona's greatest achievements were usually against the odds and often with lesser supporting cast, and in particular in an era where the game was far more physically demanding and with far less protection for the more creative players, and on far poorer pitches. Maradona, put in simple terms, wasn't just the greatest player of all time. He was a cultural icon, a leader who dragged average teammates to glory through sheer individual brilliance. Argument. 1986 World Cup. It was my favourite World Cup of all time. Is the tournament absolute proof of his superiority? He didn't just win it, he absolutely dominated it. And in my humble opinion, produced the greatest individual performance in any major tournament. His goal against a very, very good England side, by the way, not that goal, by the way. His goal against a very, very, very good England side was named Goal of the Century, and standout performances against Belgium, if you remember, and West Germany. He single-handedly harried an ordinary Argentinian team compared to the Messi team that won the World Cup to global supremacy. During the tournament, he scored or assisted 10 of Argentina's 14 goals. I think this demonstrates his untouchable influence. So, if you look at Messi's team, the squad was much stronger in every department. Maradona was the team. Messi was the star of a great team, highlighting Maradona's significant influence on team success. Napoli, club football. Maradona transformed this club from regular, perennial strugglers during a time when Serie A was considered probably the toughest league in the world. During his time there, he influenced them to achieve 2 titles in 87 and 1990, 1 Coppa Italia, a UEFA Cup and an Italian Super Cup. Bear in mind, at the time, Napoli had very limited resources, unlike a lot of modern Hang on a minute, I had another piece here. Oh, bugger. I think I've lost a very important piece. But it basically was going on to state, I had a list of all the people that had said he was the greatest footballer, including Messi. Quote.
And Gary Lineker as well.
Yeah, Gary Lineker, don't listen to him. He's a sketchy bastard. He's a flip-flop.
I was backing you up.
No, I was going to use his. I can't believe I've mislaid that. That's really annoying because it had some brilliant quotes from like top players. And the last one I was going to save because it was Messi saying, "Nah, I ain't Maradona." That, Your Honour, was my conclusion.
I will give you a chance to go and find that and come back to that if you want, because you still had over a minute left. So I'm happy for you to go and try and find that sheet. And he's gone. We've got Manny in. Manny's in. Hi. He says there was only one, Diego Armando Maradona. The leader Messi never was. Maradona would not be able to do what Messi has done in this era of football. Well, that's the thing you've got to take into account. It is different eras. Reese, why should Messi get the vote and not Maradona?
So why I believe Lionel Messi is a better player than Maradona. Superior stats. Over 1,109 appearances in his career, 874 goals. His longevity and consistency in those years that he's been a footballer. He has performed at a higher level for a longer period of time, which not many players in this era have, in any era, have managed to be able to do. More trophies and individual awards, including 8 Ballon d'Ors, which is a record, by the way, including 11 leagues, 1 World Cup, 2 Copa Americas, 4 Champions League, with 44 trophies in total. A better range of goals, in my opinion. 723 with his left foot, 109 with his weaker right foot, and 28 headers. His professionalism, he was a lot more disciplined than Diego Maradona, consistently training hard and in keeping himself in physical condition, in physically fit shape. Now, in terms of international, and a lot of people use this argument towards Diego Maradona, that he's a better player because he done it for Argentina. Diego Maradona was 25 when he won the World Cup. Lionel Messi was way past his best at the age of 35, dragging that Argentina team to win the World Cup. In that year, he was the joint top goal scorer with Kylian Mbappe, and he also won the player of the tournament. His influence on football. Now, a lot of people say Diego Maradona has had a great influence on Argentina and on football. Of course he has. But you look at the impact, for example, that Messi has had on the MLS since joining Inter Miami. More people watching it, bringing in more revenue, a different impact on different formations. He was the man that started this 4-3-3 with the false 9, allowing him to be creative and still managing to score goals. And another argument they like to use with Diego Maradona is he done it with a less capable team that Lionel Messi had. But you also have to remember, even with those world-class players around Lionel Messi, he was still the standout player, producing big numbers on a regular basis. And even managers such as Sir Alex Ferguson and Jose Mourinho have said they have spent all of their team talks discussing just how to stop Lionel Messi. You could go on the Xavis to stop the Xavis, the Iniestas, the Suarezes, the Neymars. It was all about stopping Lionel Messi. And he was still a main standout in those teams with all those world-class players around him. And that is my case for Lionel Messi.
Well, that's very good.
Very good.
I
Have you
do
found
a
it?
list.
Have you found it?
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, yes, I have. I would like to read a couple if that's okay.
Do go
Mind me
ahead.
doing that once? I don't want you to think that I'm taking the piss with my time. Do you mind if I just read a couple of these?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for
We
it.
had a minute left anyway, so go for it.
Okay, so I'll read. Let's have a great player like Eric Cantona. Some people say Pelé was the greatest player of all time, but not me. Maradona will always be the greatest. He won the World Cup in '86, narrowly lost in the final in 1990 and then '94. Maybe would have won it again had he not been banned. The crucial difference with Pelé is that Maradona wasn't surrounded by great players. He had to carry the team himself. If you took Maradona out of Argentina, they would not win the World Cup, but I think Brazil would without Pelé. Ryan Giggs, the best player of all time. I admired him in '96 and '90 World Cup. Today there are great players like Messi and Ronaldo. But I saw Maradona. Do I have to say anything else? Lionel Messi. Even if I played for 1,000,000 years, I'd never come close to Maradona. Not that I want to anyway. He's the greatest there's ever been. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was on a debate show. Platini, what Zidane could do with a ball, Maradona could do with an orange. Ruud Gullit, the best player there's ever been, better than Pelé. I watched him closely in Italy every week, and he was on a different level to everyone else. Some of the things he did were truly unbelievable. He could control the ball without looking, which meant if the pass was on, he would take it. There's more, but I won't go on.
No. Okay. So, out of these two players, who do you think? Obviously, Maradona is no longer with us, so RIP. And obviously, Messi is still playing at the moment. Reece, I'll come back to you first on this one because Clibo just had the time. What do you think I'm trying to think of the word here. What are they going to leave football? I mean, we know what Maradona will be the answer for that, but when Messi retires, what do you think what's the word I'm looking for? His legacy will be?
Well, I mean, a lot of people consider him the greatest player of all time, and obviously that is just on opinions. A lot of people say Maradona's the greatest of all time. A lot of people say Cristiano Ronaldo's the greatest of all time, but it's all about opinions. But I look at the influence that he has, it's like say in today's day and age, since he's gone to the MLS, more people have watched the MLS, all because Lionel Messi is signed for that club, And also, it's like say the impact on the tactical side of football nowadays. With the form, like I said, he influenced the 4-3-3 formation with the false 9. He did that himself with obviously Pep Guardiola at the helm when he did that. But I just think in terms of, it's like I said, Maradona may be a bigger Argentina legend, but obviously the question is who is the better player. And I think all the stats and also the impact on football, not just what Diego Maradona impacts on football, but I think Messi has had a bigger impact on the game how it is today.
Do you think a lot of people look at Maradona, Clibo, and I joked at the start, but he's drugged, he's cheating. Is that the sort of legacy, do you think, that makes a great player?
If that's what you're concentrating on, then no. If you're concentrating on pure skill, there is undoubtedly nobody better than Maradona. All the best players in the world have said it. All the people that have played with him have said it. All the people that I've quoted on here have all been around during the Messi era and Maradona era.
I mean, I'm just looking here. I mean, they both obviously played for Barcelona.
Yeah, there's a Barcelona game where he's like every single player is literally like. Can you imagine Messi play. I'm not slagging Messi because the guy's a fucking genius. But can you there's a game on YouTube where it's just clip after clip after clip of players double foot tackling him, and he's just jumping over them. And there's some he can't get out of on a knackered old pitch, and the skill levels that you have to have. And not the protection that the likes of Ronaldo and Messi. I love Ronaldo, he's an asshole, but what a great player. But they would never survive that. They wouldn't be able to survive it. They weren't built the same way as Maradona. He's a one-off. There'll never be anybody to the Maradona.
I have seen Messi do that on multiple occasions where he has got.
You have because they can't do. They're not allowed to do that anymore. They're not allowed to do that.
I'm not on about the tackling in terms. I'm not on about in terms of the tackling.
There you go.
Not on about the tackling and stuff, but I'm on about the fact that he has 4 players. Obviously, Maradona has done that. I've seen clips of it. He's got 4 players around and he absolutely skins them. Yeah, but obviously Lionel Messi has done the same as well. Obviously, the game is a lot. Hang on, let me finish, please. The game is a lot softer nowadays. I can completely agree with you on that. But that's not Lionel Messi's fault. It wasn't his fault that he was born in this era. Yeah,
I'm not saying this.
Yeah, I know you're not, but I'm just saying it's not his fault that he was born in this era. Like I said, we'll never know what he could do in that day and age. Or we never know what Maradona could do in this day and age. It's all if, buts and maybes. But I get your point. But I've seen Lionel Messi repeatedly on a consistent basis for 15 plus years skin 4 to 5 players and just go and stick it in the back of the net. But yeah. I get what you're saying, Uncle Clipper. I understand.
Don't be nice. We're not. There's no nice here. Look, I'm going to say, Clibbo, when I look at, well, let me put it this way, what we're laughing at, what have I missed?
We're just abusing each other.
Well, don't do it on screen, please. Guys, I'm going to put this, I don't want to get me channel banned. Right, I'm going to read this out. And then I'm going to come to you first, Clibbo, and then the same thing will apply to you, Reese. I'm looking at Maradona's career here. He started out 4 years or so, in fact 5, at Argentinos Juniors. He then went for one season to Boca Juniors. He then went to Barcelona for a couple of years. He then went to Napoli for 7 years. He then went to Seville for a year. He then went back to Argentina to Newell's Old Boys and ended up back at Boca Juniors again. Now, when I look at Messi's career, started out at Barcelona C, then played for Barcelona B. Guess where he went after that? Barcelona. And then he went for a couple of seasons. I think he was dragged kicking and screaming over to Paris Saint-Germain. Now he's at Inter Miami, which, in fairness, let's be honest with you, Daka could go and play in America and look good. It is, a completely different standard. What I'm saying is here then, and I said the same question will go to both of you, has Maradona proved it on more levels, in different leagues, in different countries, and therefore is a better player than Messi, who's had a great career, but it's all been with Barcelona? Maradona's gone to, Italy, Spain, whatever, and has always, and he's won trophies everywhere. Clibbo.
It's an argument, not an argument, it's a discussion about Reece. We had this discussion about Ronaldo and Messi many times. And the fact that Ronaldo has done it in the Premier League and other leagues, Messi's done it predominantly in one league, to me shows the greater I don't know what the word is. You could say that Messi's loyal or lacks ambition to go and play across the globe. You know, I'm not saying either one of those is true, but the fact that Ronaldo did it in every league that he ever played in, you know, so that's going back to your question. I think Maradona showed it on different sides of the globe.
I think you said Ronaldo there, but I think you meant Maradona.
Yeah.
Reece, then, what's your argument back on that? He's making notes. He's getting serious.
Well, I mean,
the case for the defence, my lord.
Well, yeah, I can see Uncle Clibo's argument with that one in terms of obviously Messi has done it with Barcelona, but I could also argue that Messi has done it in different leagues. You know, he went to PSG at a later age, 75 appearances, 32 goals, 34 assists at a later age in his career. So, I mean, obviously it's not the Premier League, but he's done it in a different league at a later age as well. And also, people that said he couldn't do it in the Premier League, his record against the Big Six when playing in the Champions League is 36 appearances, 27 goals, and 6 assists.
Different. Completely different.
I'm still talking.
Completely different. You can't use that argument, Reece, because it's not the Premier League.
But could you also use the same point? Maradona never done it in the Premier League or English football.
Well, the Premier League was not really the Premier League when he was around, was it?
An English league as well.
The best league in the world when he was playing was the league he was playing in.
Okay, fair point. But again, that's just my argument. Messi's never done it in the Premier League, but neither has Maradona done it in the English or Division 1. You know, so...
No, but what I'm saying is the top league is the Premier League. When Maradona was playing, the top league was the league he was playing in.
Right, okay. Well, so you have more knowledge on that. I was still in my dad's ball bags when that was happening, so you'll have a bit more knowledge on me with that one.
The stenographer just asked me, can I explain that, please? Well, look, let me go another way then, because I think that's quite an important point, to be honest with you. I think you can, you know, if a player does well for one club and is loved by that one club, but in that one country, I think if a player does go and do it at different clubs, I do think that's quite good. When he was at Barcelona, and let's be honest with you, Reece, you know, Messi played brilliantly at Barcelona. You know, both of these players are two of the greatest players that have ever graced the game of football. Let's be honest.
Of course.
But Messi, when he was in Spain, what was the opposition? I mean, for many, Spain is very much like Scotland, I believe. You know, you've got Barcelona.
No, I can't.
Let me finish. As you would say, I'm still talking.
Fair point.
Scotland has got two teams. Occasionally, you might have a team that pops up into third or whatever, and sometimes win a cup or whatever. Spain, let's be honest, has got two teams. Occasionally, Atletico Madrid pops up and does well, but it's going to be usually one of those two teams. And I think when he was at Barcelona, it was a bit like when Celtic at the moment, they have been just Rinder. Gonna have to take that. But I think Barcelona were the dominant team. So I just when Maradona was at Napoli, in that league, I think there was more teams that we were spread about more. You know, you got Inter Milan, AC Milan, and you know Napoli, and probably other clubs that I've forgotten, to be honest with you. So it was a more competitive environment for them, Napoli, than it was at Barcelona.
I'll counter that and say you look at the European pedigree with the likes of obviously Barcelona, Real Madrid, Valencia, Sevilla, Atletico Madrid. You know, there's 5 teams already that are massive, massive clubs with European pedigree and have won a lot of trophies in their history. So I don't.
They won. Carry on.
No, go on, carry on.
No. I was doing to you. You were talking. You carry on.
That's all. No, I was just saying, like, I mean, just to say there's 2 teams in La Liga, I think is a bit unfair because obviously I've got, you know, Atletico Madrid. They're a big club.
When was the last time anyone won the league other than, I think, there was one team that broke the top 2 in the last 10 years?
I think during the Messi era, I think Atletico Madrid won the league twice, I believe. You know, yeah, but I think it was twice. I think they won it in 15, 16. I can't remember. I think it's twice. I think it's twice.
When was Messi? Let's just have a look. When was Messi at Barcelona?
2006 to 2021, I think.
Blimey, was he there that long? Wow.
Atletico Madrid won it in 2020-21. Why is it only? It's only going up to the.
I think they only won it once. You know. Don't quote me on it, but I'm convinced they only won it once.
I can't remember the top of my head. For some reason, I thought it was twice, but it probably would.
No,
it probably
once.
Let's see what Chris comes up with.
Do carry on talking because,
like I say, I could be wrong.
No, here we go. I've got it now. That site I went on to stopped in like 1976 or something. Right. So he was there from when was he at Barcelona? Sorry.
Was it 2006 till 2021?
Sorry, 2004 to 2021. So 2004 to 2021. So 2004, Valencia had won it that season. After that, we've got Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Atletico Madrid won. Keep count for me, please. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. 2.
Yeah,
Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona. So in that period, apart from 2 seasons, Barcelona or Real Madrid won it. So to me, if he had gone to Valencia or Atletico Madrid and won it, then to me that's a greater achievement. You know, it's like you know, somebody's signing for Manchester City and getting a Premier League badge. That's going to be easy. Somebody's signing for Leicester City and getting a Premier League badge that had to be earned. And I just think there was more competition in Napoli. Let's just have a look at the Serie A winners and just see. Have you got the dates that he was at Napoli?
I don't actually know whether I have, you know.
I'll have a look here.
I think it would be about 86-ish.
It was at. Oh no, that's idiot. Wait, what? It was at Napoli from 1984 to 1991.
84. Yeah, 84. Yeah, fair play. I knew it was a mid-80s. I knew it. It seems a long time ago.
Okay, so 1984 till when? Sorry,
91.
91.
Okay, so 84, Juventus won it. Then Verona, then Juventus, then Napoli, then AC Milan, then Inter Milan, then Napoli, then Sampdoria, and then AC Milan 3 years on the trot. So you can see there was a lot, you know, it was harder to win a title in Italy than it was in Spain. Just as I would say it's easier for Brendan Rodgers to win trophies in Scotland with Celtic than it is in Leicester. But let's round this up. I think we know which way Manny's gone. Dino, you're a gentleman, sir. Thank you very much. He's become a new, he's become a member. $1.99 a month. Anybody that wants to help support the channel, it's cheap. You can't even get half a pint of beer for that. League, and this is a lot more fun than half a pint of beer. A good point here. You could argue that to be at Barcelona that long, you have to be good. Memorable comparison, Chris. Who did I compare? Maybe
I think it was. Yeah, I think that was about the leagues and stuff.
Crap leagues compared to ours. Double yes, Cribbo. Look, I'm going to have to make a decision. I'm hating this program because I'm being proved wrong, left, right, and centre here. And what I love about this is we are having to take a leap of faith because it's we've always had that is Bobby Moore how would Bobby Moore have been as a defender in today's game, and how would this would this player in the old, can they do it on a wet night in Stoke, wet Tuesday in Stoke, it's like, could they have done it when they were playing on the mud bath that the players were back in the 70s? If you wonder what the pitches were like, just go and watch ITV for the big match revisited. Maradona is not my favourite player. You probably guessed that from the start of this segment. He kind of saved himself. And look, it's not his fault. He did do the hand of God, and we were cheated. But Gary Lineker's often said he would have on the snow in Ipswich. Very good point, Michael. Very good point. It's not his fault that the linesman was as blind as a bat and the referee was fucking useless. But then you look at his second goal, and my God, you could see that,
Goal of the century. It was voted goal of the century.
Goal of the century. Messi's obviously scored some great goals as well.
Messi scored one identical. Messi scored one identical. I counted the number of players that Maradona beat and Messi beat, and they both beat 5 players. It was pretty much the exact same goal.
Look at that. Look at the team he did it against.
What'd you say?
Look at the team he did it against and the circumstances he did it again. He did it in. He just
who was it against?
Against a really good England team, accused of cheating. The whole of England wanted to murder him, and he just went, "Watch." Circumstances.
Who did Messi do his against, Reece?
I can't remember. I think it was. I don't know if it was Getafe in the. But I would argue Messi's done that more on a consistent basis.
Don't tell me he's done it in the MLS, because that won't help your case.
I'm not about the MLS. I'm on about his pomp, doing it at the higher level of the Champions League. But again, carry on.
No, that's a fair point. I had made my decision though, and I'm not going to change it on that. Look, I went into this with, like I say, my mind made up. But I have to take the fact of the cheating and what have you, and he did ruin his own life. He got sent home from a World Cup for taking drugs as well. And Messi is as squeaky clean as they come. You can't argue that. But I'm gonna have to go for Maradona. Purely, and it was such. It's very difficult to see, because I say it was different times, different times, the century when they played, different styles, different, pitches, etc., etc. Messi plays on a lot, better pitches probably than Maradona was. Taking out the hand of God, and I have to, and the drugs, because he did it to himself, so he didn't necessarily harm anybody else. I think the fact that Maradona did it in different leagues, for me, is the deciding factor. I mean, yeah, Reece, I just think, there's a thin line between loyal and a lack of ambition. And people have levelled that. I've read a piece on Vardy on that as well, saying did he lack ambition by staying at Leicester? I think he made the right decision personally, but could he have won more if he'd gone to other places? All of these decisions are going to be down to the slightest of reasons, and I just think that look at David Beckham. If he'd have stayed at Man United, would he be one of the greatest players in the world? No. But he went and did it in Italy. He went and did it in America. He went and did it in France. He did it on all these different stages. And that, for me, is a sign of a good player. It's like a manager. If you look at Sir Alex Ferguson, you can say, was he the best manager of all time in England? Yes, because of what he won in England. But he also did it in Scotland, I'm not arguing with that, but I'm being asked to make a decision here, and I have made my decision, and I am unanimous in that. We'll say. We can. You both, again, as in the first argument, you both put your points across well, and it is like comparing a gold, finger ring to a gold earring. It's all down to opinions and choice and favourites, and that's all it is. You guys are asking me to make a decision, and what I've loved about this show is that I went into the first one thinking it's going to be Martin O'Neill. It's got to be Martin O'Neill, and then when you get talking about it. And when I was talking about Martin O'Neill, I was thinking, they were good times. But when I remember that year that we had under Claudio, I just got a smile on my face. And when you've asked me to choose here, Maradona has done it on various stages where Messi did it at one club. And, well, let's be honest, look how many titles they won while he was there. It wasn't like he was playing for Valencia or somebody. So, look, it's 1-1, guys. Next week, then we will carry on, and we'll keep a running total. We'll keep a running total so people can. We'll add it onto your name. So I'll do that for you next week. And have you enjoyed it, guys?
Yeah, very much so. Well done, Reece.
Well done, mate. Yeah, well done. I think your experience.
They are saying that, but once this camera stops. Gonna be this.
Fight!
I'm not saying who's on top there, guys.
I've got to be careful because one day I'm going to be in a care home, and he works in care homes. And he can't do bad things to me.
He's going to spit in your food. I'll tell you that much. Clibo and Reece, thank you very, very much. I've enjoyed this. Have a think about the topics that you want to do next week. We'll have to say like the same. We'll do same time next week. We'll do the Leicester one, and then another one of your choice. If you didn't, you can do 2 Leicesters if you want. It's up to you. But congratulations to both of you. You both won 1, and that's all that matters.
I don't think I'd win 1, to be fair.
It's not about the winning; it's about the taking part.
Yeah.
Nobody ever. Thanks very much. I'll see you probably later in the week. Take care, guys.
See you in a bit.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks very much to Reece and Uncle Clibo there. I enjoyed that. My God, I feel the pressure though. I feel that I'm just saying the fact that, both of them sent me, like a fiver in the post, had no decision aiding my decisions at all. But thanks to the guys. If you've enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe if you're new. Like I say, become a member. Link is in the description below. It's only $1.99. Amazing value, and all much appreciated. It all helps the channel. And I will see you all when I'm about, what day is it today? Tuesday. I'm on BTG tomorrow, and then we're back here on Thursday, and we're going to be picking, we've all the presenters have done their team choices to be first, second, and we're going to be looking at that, and coming up, the supercomputer will come up with the winner. Thanks very much to Clibbo. Like I say, thanks to Reese. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you on Thursday.
5, 4.
And that was just a start. I should have played this one.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.